Google has tried many times, but this year they supposedly really mean it. So how good is the Pixel 6, and can it finally clear all of the flaws of Pixel's past? The first thing that hit me when getting the Pixel 6 is just how big it is. 6.4 inches really isn't compact. In fact, the Pixel 6 is more than a centimeter taller than an iPhone 13. That doesn't sound like much, but it is really noticeable. I would have also liked it better if they would have kept the equally sized bezels all around the screen that the Pixel 5 had. Now we're back to a chin that's slightly bigger than the rest of the borders, which, in my opinion, doesn't look as sleek. What I do really like though is that they brought back the two-tone design from the first Pixel phones. It makes the design a lot more fun and interesting than just a single color on the back. I wish though that they would have made the glass matte like the Pixel 4. That felt very nice in the hand and also looked more premium than this glossy finish. Apart from this, I think the camera visor dividing the two halves of the back is a great implementation. It makes the phone recognizable with a unique look, and it eliminates the problem of it rocking on a table. Not as great is the fact that at the point where the glass meets the metal of the visor, it collects a lot of dust, which isn't that easy to get off. The Pixel 6 also has all of the things you come to expect from a high-end phone these days, despite its price. You get a really good haptic motor that is also used very well by Android 12, with lots of clicks and taps throughout the interface. It's IP68 water resistant and has some very capable stereo speakers. The screen of the Pixel 6 is fine, but nothing super special. It's a 90Hz 1080p OLED panel that does have some really nice colors, but it's a bit dim compared to other phones, even in its price range. That's not a deal breaker though. That it's only 90Hz instead of 120 like you find on many phones these days is totally not noticeable. All that matters is that it's more than 60 and feels nice and smooth. Overall, the screen is of course a trade-off Google made to meet the price tag, but I think it's a good one. It still gives you a plenty sharp and smooth screen that doesn't take anything away from the experience. Under the screen is an optical fingerprint sensor that is fast enough, but not on the level of the ones from OnePlus. That said, this is the first time Google included one, and it's definitely reliable enough to not be annoying. I wish that it also had Face Unlock though. This is the first phone that has Google's own Tensor chip, paired with 8GB of RAM. So how does this new piece of silicon perform? After all, Google also builds the software that runs on it, making this the first Android phone that copies the vertical integration that makes the iPhone such a seamless experience. Unfortunately, I think Google still has some optimization to do. The phone does feel fast, but sometimes I noticed some stutters in the interface, especially while scrolling, that I wouldn't expect of a phone of this caliber. The chip should be plenty fast to handle this smoothly, so I hope they iron this out with software updates. Camera processing also takes a few seconds after taking the shot, which is something to be aware of. Android 12 with Material You is probably the best software I have ever used on a smartphone. It just feels so polished and looks so nice. It takes the colors from your wallpaper to adjust the interface colors to match. And that not only in the settings, keyboard or notification shade, but also within apps from the clock to Gmail and Google Drive. It also makes very good use of haptics to really make you feel interactions. You get an always-on display with nice bold numbers and of course Google's many smart features that make the experience even better. Quick access to home control and Google Pay and always-on recognition of the music playing around you. There are also some smart gestures like flipping the phone to silence it or double tapping the back to launch an app of your choice. All of these things make the Pixel feel a bit smarter than most other smartphones. What I wasn't a big fan of was the live translation feature that can even translate things like WhatsApp messages on the fly. Mostly because it gives you a pop-up prompt to translate if anything shows up on the screen that isn't the language set in the settings, even if you speak that language fluently. That just gets annoying if you speak more than one language in my eyes. What is also worth mentioning is that this phone will get 5 years of software updates, which obviously is pretty rare in the Android space. This is the segment that I've waited the whole video to get to, and despite that I could probably wrap it up in one word: jaw-dropping. Now I have to preface this by saying that it's a very specific look that you have to like. If you liked Pixel pictures in the past, this will be for you. If you didn't, then this won't change your mind. The pictures are extremely sharp and have very condensed dynamic range. That means that it prioritizes detail above all else. If you know photo editing, it's like taking the black and white sliders and moving them to the negative area. You basically never have complete black or white in shots. That means less contrast, but also, again, more detail. It's a look. You definitely get less saturation and warmth than other phones, especially compared to the iPhone. Overall, it leads to pictures that at least I preferred to the ones from an iPhone 13 9 times out of 10. And results that more often than not put a smile on my face because they look downright amazing. If true to life and not over-processed is what you want, then this is not it. If pictures made ready to amaze everyone on your Instagram is what you want, it is. And all of this also goes for the ultra-wide, which is just as nice as the main sensor, but not quite as wide as on some other phones. Where I'm not open for debate though is with the night mode. It's just way more consistent than an iPhone 13, for example. Way sharper, way brighter, the pictures just look better. They might be a bit too bright for some people's taste, almost turning the night into day, but if you shoot with the Pixel and turn down the exposure after the fact, you will still get a way better result than on an iPhone that just gives you a darker shot where all the detail is lost. It really is unbelievably good. While the iPhone misses every couple of shots to the point where I'd call it a bad picture, I've yet to take a picture with the Pixel 6 that didn't amaze me. And I didn't even start on all of the extra features that make the camera experience so much more fun and effortless to shoot with. Tools like the Magic Eraser are of course not up to the level of the Band-Aid tool in Photoshop, but they're also way more accessible and easy to use. The phone even shoots faces with the second camera at a higher shutter speed at the same time to make sure they are always in focus. Portrait pictures from the main camera are also really nice. The selfie camera isn't quite up to par with skin that's a bit too pale, but it's not a huge deal breaker in my eyes. Only the long processing time I mentioned before and the long time it takes to get night shots take away from the experience. Lastly, let's also talk about video, which has always been a bit of an Achilles heel for the Pixels in the past. But this year I feel like they did a lot to improve it to the point where I really like it. It does of course share the same look from the pictures, which maybe isn't the best for professional use, but it's very sharp and has nice dynamic range. The stabilization is very aggressive, which might look a bit unnatural to some, but I actually don't think it's that bad. Don't get me wrong, this is not iPhone level great, especially also because it's missing the many advanced video features the iPhone has. But it's now on a level where I would call it among the best on Android. All told, unless you're someone who takes pictures and video professionally and thus wants things more toned down and not as processed, this camera will amaze the hell out of you. It's just so fun to shoot with because every picture comes out amazing. It's my favorite phone camera by far, though I realized that it might not be the best one when evaluating the pictures from a more technical perspective. Battery life on the Pixel 6 was really good for me. 5 to 6 hours of screen on time per charge is totally possible, which is more than enough to get you through a full day and then some. I don't like that Android 12 only shows you screen on time within the last 24 hours though, and not since the last full charge, which makes quantifying this a bit more difficult. But where my iPhone 13 Pro might have been at 10% at the end of the day, this usually left me at more than 30% when going to bed with the same usage, and I think that's very solid. As you might have noticed though, Google did remove the charging brick from the box, which wouldn't be that bad if fast charging worked over USB PD, but apparently it doesn't. At least with my 65-watt USB-C PD charger, it takes over 1.5 hours to charge, so you probably need to buy Google's own brick if you don't want to wait forever, which is a bummer. Wireless charging is here, also in reverse, but you can also only use the full speed with Google's own first-party stand. If it wasn't clear already, I really like this phone. For 649 euros or $599, you get a camera that is among the best, and in my own subjective opinion by far the best, in any smartphone. You get all the things you come to expect from much higher end phones. Water resistance, wireless charging, great speakers, and top-notch software support. The software is amazing and you don't have to make any significant trade-offs with the screen or performance either. This phone has it all, without having you spend significantly more on the things that don't add a lot on top. For its price, it gets a definite recommendation from me if you want a high-end phone without spending flagship money. It's so good in fact that it makes other manufacturers like OnePlus, who charge more for objectively worse hardware, look greedy. I hope this starts a trend of cheaper, truly high-end phones again that aren't artificially cut down to sell the €1,000 ones. If you enjoyed this video, you know which buttons to press, and don't forget to press that follow button on Twitter. I'm Brian, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.